Okay friends, today we're going to be decluttering my foundations. Everything that I declutter, I will be passing along to family and friends. As long as it's not expired, then I will have to unfortunately throw it away, but I don't think anything is expired here. So yeah, if you guys like declutters, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and without further ado, let's just go ahead and start decluttering. Alright, let's start here at the top. Starting at the beginning, this is the Makeup Revolution Matte Velvet Skin. This is the old version. I know they recently reformulated this. I haven't tried the reformulated version just because I still have this one and it works really well for me. This is one of the few powder foundations that works really well on my dry skin. It gives you really nice medium coverage. It's super velvety, as the name would suggest. Super smooth, and it never looks dry or cakey. It comes with this little sponge, which it's not really a sponge. I don't know what you would call this. It's like an applicator with one side's more smooth and one side's a little bit more fuzzy. And I do use this from time to time on days when I'm in the car or I'm trying to apply my makeup in a hurry. That is what I will reach for. It's kind of gross. I probably need to clean it, but it's real life, okay? This is real life right now, so don't judge me too much. But yeah, this is just a really quick and easy foundation. Powder foundations are very underrated, but they're so fast. There's something about a powder foundation that is so easy to apply. So I'm gonna keep this. It's one of my everyday go-tos. Another easy keep, the Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint from Maybelline. This says it's a skin tint, but actually it's more of a medium coverage foundation. It gives you the most beautiful, glowy, luminous finish on the skin, but it wears all day long in a good medium coverage. It's so beautiful. I reach for it a lot in the summertime. Unfortunately, it does have alcohol in it, so it's a little bit too drying on my skin in the winter, which is a shame because I just love the way it looks on my skin. But in the summertime, it's not drying at all, and it actually helps to control the oils a bit, which is why I feel like it wears so well and so long. So I am definitely going to keep this because I do enjoy it. I just haven't been reaching into it lately because, again, it's a little too drying right now in the winter cold months. One that I'm definitely going to declutter is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo CC Cream. This launched about a month or two ago. It's the more hydrating version of their original Camo CC Cream. I did like the original Camo CC Cream. I could never find a shade that perfectly matched me, but I really liked it. The only reason I don't have it is because it broke me out, unfortunately. I was excited to try this, but unfortunately this one broke me out as well, and it really emphasized my pores and just looked really greasy and heavy on my skin, so I didn't like this at all. If I had to pick between one, I would definitely choose the original, but again, that one broke me out as well. So I'm going to declutter this and hopefully it'll work better for somebody else because I've only used it a couple times. I have two of these NYX Bear With Me Blur Tints. I actually really like this. This is a very, very lightweight, medium coverage foundation. The name Tint is a little bit deceiving because you'd think that it doesn't have much coverage at all and that's more serum-y or hydrating. This is actually very mattifying and very, like I said, you can get a good medium to full coverage, I would say, out of this, but it does feel very lightweight on the skin like a skin tint would. So I think that's why they named it that. I can't really wear this in the winter months, again, because my skin has been more dry. So this shade is one that I would reach for in the winter, but I just can't use it right now. But I do want to keep this one in vanilla for the summer months when this works a bit better on my skin. So I'm going to keep one and get rid of the other one. Another easy keep is the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. I have mine in the shade Deauville. It's a little bit deep for me right now, but that's why I have this little white mixing pigment over here from LA Girl. This is a really great thing to have in your collection because you can just squirt a little bit into any foundation that's a bit too dark for you and it'll lighten it up without changing the consistency of the foundation. So I have actually been doing that a lot lately because I just love the way this one looks on the skin. It's a really lightweight formula, very thin and serum-y, but it gives you good medium coverage, and it gives you that like natural, luminous, radiant finish without being glittery or greasy, so it wears a really long time. It's gorgeous. I love this foundation. One of my favorites of all time, so definitely keeping that. Another easy keep, obviously I haven't even used it yet. This is the I Am Magic Natural Radiance Foundation from Juvia's Place. I want to do a testing Juvia's Place video. I have a couple eyeshadow palettes I haven't tried from them, and I wanted to try this foundation, so I'm keeping it for that video. I'm excited to test this out because I feel like I've heard this has more medium to full coverage actually, but it's a little bit more hydrating, so I think it might work really well on my skin. So I'm going to keep this for now, and I have the shade Cairo. which I think might be a little bit deep. But again, I can just use the white mixing pigment to lighten it up if I have to. I'm going to move these out of the frame because my camera is having a little bit of trouble focusing. I am going to keep my mixing pigments from LA Girl. I have a white one, a yellow one that you can use to warm up your foundation, and a blue one that you can use to cool off your foundation. This one actually shattered and it's leaking, so unfortunately I'm going to have to either put it in a different container or get rid of it. But I am going to keep these two because they're just really great staples to have. Another keep, this is the Youthful Glow Foundation from Ulta Beauty. This is a really unique serum. It's super watery. I don't know if you can hear that. It's so watery. It's probably one of the most watery foundations in my collection. But the thing that I like about this is that even though it's very serum-like and very watery, it is super smoothing on the skin, which a lot of times I find that more serum-y, hydrating skin tints are not very smoothing. They usually sink into pores or just highlight pores because of their glowy nature. This one's actually very smoothing on the skin, so I really like this. This is in Fair to Light Warm. This is a really great product. I don't really hear anybody talking about it, but I really enjoy it. So keeping that. One, unfortunately, that I do love, but that I'm going to have to declutter. This is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. I really like this foundation. It's so good, especially for the price. It's a really good alternative to the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. It gives you full coverage. It's super thin and serum-y, so it doesn't feel heavy on the skin at all, and it wears a really long time. And it's not super drying, even though it is a matte foundation, as long as you prep your skin accordingly. It just, unfortunately, this breaks me out, which is so sad because I always love reaching for this, but then every time I take my makeup off the next day, I realize that I have a new breakout. So unfortunately, it just doesn't work for my skin, but I do really like this, and I really recommend it if you're on the hunt for a very thin, full coverage foundation from the drugstore. This is the About Face Performer Foundation. This is the newest foundation in my collection. It launched in January. I did a whole dedicated first impressions, so if you want to see that, definitely go check it out. It has a doe foot applicator, medium coverage, more natural, semi-glowy finish. The finish of this depends a lot on how you apply it. If you use a brush, it's going to be more natural matte, and if you use a sponge, it's definitely way more glowy and hydrating. I have mixed feelings about this. I'm still sort of figuring out how I feel. One thing I will say about this that I've discovered using it multiple times, it does not work well with the e.l.f. gripping primer. So word of caution, if you have this and you have the e.l.f. primer, do not mix them because it will pill and just look so textured and weird on the skin. There's something in the ingredients that just does not mesh well. It's just not the most smoothing foundation of all time, and it doesn't wear the best on my skin. So it's not an all-time favorite, but it's not bad, and I do want to test it out some more to really solidify my thoughts on it because, again, I've only had it for a couple weeks now, almost a month, so I'm going to keep it and keep playing with it. This foundation used to be one of my favorite foundations of all time. This is the Veil Sunset Skin Foundation. It has this twist up mechanism, which is super fun. And the consistency of this is not really like any other in my collection as well. It's a little bit more moussey and thick, but the thing about this foundation is that it just looks so natural on the skin. It literally looks like skin. It's really beautiful, very blurring, but not drying or cakey. I haven't reached for this a lot lately because, for one thing, the shade is a bit too deep, but for another, just in the winter months, it's not drying, but it's just not as hydrating as I would prefer or need it to be. So I think I do really love this and I would recommend it, but I know this looks really great on my mom. I've used it on her a couple times and it looks beautiful on her skin, and she's a little bit more tan than I am naturally. So I think I'm going to give this to her because I know she will really like it and she'll get a lot of use out of it. So I'm going to pass it along, even though it kind of makes me sad. I have the shade Light 2N, by the way. This one makes me sad. This is the Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation with Pro Vitamin B5. I went through a love affair phase with this foundation. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's age, maybe my skin has changed. But this used to look so natural, so luminous, so like no makeup beautiful on the skin. And I do think that for the right person it will have that effect. I think if you are maybe younger, you have smoother skin, you don't have a lot to cover, this is a great skin tint option from the drugstore. But I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe I have more wrinkles, more lines, more pores than I used to or something, but this just, it kind of emphasizes them more than I remember, and just lately hasn't been looking the best on my skin. So I think I am going to pass this along, which is crazy because I literally never thought that I would get rid of this. It was one of my favorites for so long, and I do still recommend it. I think it's a good formula. I just think for me, for some reason, it's just not working so great anymore. So I'm going to pass this along, and hopefully, again, someone else will get better use out of it. Another one I'm going to declutter, Colourpop Pretty Fresh. This just doesn't wear the best on my skin. It just breaks down after about 5 hours, and personally, I just like something that wears a little bit longer. So I'm going to pass this along as well. I'm also going to pass along this Covergirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk. I actually really like this. It's so pretty on the skin, but the shade is just not quite right for me. It's in 520 Fair. It's a little bit too pinky, so it just looks a little off on my skin. I don't know. You can't really tell on camera, but yeah, it's just a little bit too pink on my face, so it's just not my favorite. But I do really like the formula of this. I just wish they had more golden or olivey undertones available. One that I'm going to keep, this is the Tarte Shape Tape Cloud Coverage. It's the travel size, that's why it's so tiny. Ooh, I have mine in 22 and light neutral. This is more of a moussey, whipped sort of texture. I haven't worn it much because it is a bit too dark for me right now, but I want to keep it around and keep playing with it because I feel like this is something that I could really like, and I've heard good things about it. So I'm going to keep this for now. I'm going to keep my Estee Lauder Double Wear. I really like this as a full coverage option. It's matte, but it's not drying on my skin. It actually looks really, really beautiful. The only thing about this is that the shade is a little bit too pink again for my skin. It's in 1N0 Porcelain, but I think that if I mix in a little bit of this yellow, it might work a little better for my skin tone. So I'm going to try that the next time I wear it, but aside from the shade being a bit off, the formula is very beautiful, so I'm going to keep it. Last but not least, we have the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Powder Foundation. I honestly don't like this as a foundation all over my skin. It's just a little bit too drying, a little bit too heavy and texture emphasizing on my skin personally. But I really like this for adding a little bit of coverage, like after I've done my makeup. If the concealer just is not cutting it when it comes to a really stubborn blemish, I go in with a little bit of this over top, and it just adds that little bit of extra coverage that helps to conceal those imperfections a bit better. So I'm actually going to stick this in my powder drawer just because I use it more as a powder rather than a foundation, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put that over there for now. And let's see all of the foundations I'm keeping. Okay, so I'm keeping, this counts as one because it's the same, but just different shades, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Keeping 9 foundations. Okay, and these are all the foundations I'm getting rid of. Decluttering 7. I feel like that's pretty good. Keeping 9, decluttering 7, that's almost half. So I think I did a pretty good job, and I know all of these will find better homes and just probably work better for people who have different needs or different preferences. So I feel really good about this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like declutters, there's definitely more coming, and I'll see you guys in my next video.